It seems that the Armenian authorities have not yet abandoned their seemingly ingenious plan to conclude a peace treaty with Azerbaijan without fulfilling key conditions set out by Baku. On March 24th, in an interview with the Brazilian daily newspaper Correio Brasiliense, Armenian Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan assured that his country is fully committed to the peace agenda. "We have no intention, reason, or motivation to start a new war or escalate the situation," Mirzoyan said, reminiscing about the concluded peace treaty. Playing the role of a peace dove, Mirzoyan went on to complain about bad Azerbaijan, which according to him is demanding the fulfillment of conditions supposedly unknown to Armenia. It's worth noting that on March 13th Baku had announced that the peace agreement had been concluded, immediately outlining all necessary conditions for its full approval. These include Armenia's constitutional amendments, which still contain territorial claims against Azerbaijan, and the dissolution of the OSCE Minsk group. Then, on March 21st, in response to Mirzoyan's statements made at a joint press conference with Brazilian colleague Mauro Vieira, Azerbaijan's foreign ministry spokesperson, Ikon Hojizada, once again emphasized that Azerbaijan would be ready to sign a peace treaty when Armenia removes all obstacles to lasting peace. He then went on to rightly add, when the Armenian foreign minister and other officials state that Azerbaijan has not given a positive response to their absurd proposals on communications and arms control mechanisms, it feels like they are either not paying attention to the comments of Azerbaijan's foreign ministry, or they are being dishonest, seeking attention, approval, or trying to manipulate others. Given that Mirzoyan's interview was conducted on March 24th, Ikon Hojizada's second assumption seems to be closer to the truth. It's clear that Armenia is trying to impose a narrative on the international community, suggesting that Baku is allegedly putting forward new, previously unagreed demands regarding changes to Armenia's constitution and the dissolution of the Minsk group, even though Baku clearly formulated and voiced these conditions back in 2023. It's also worth recalling that the Armenian foreign minister never responded to the Azerbaijani foreign ministry's direct question about how large-scale militarization, including the deployment of offensive weapons in border areas, aligns with the announced peace agreement. Instead, Mirzoyan theatrically expressed surprise in his interview with the Brazilian journalist regarding Azerbaijan's demand for restrictions on ammunition and weapons supplied to Armenia. He also blatantly lied about the EU observer mission, which regularly conducts binocular shows at the border, claiming it does not record violations by Armenia. In other words, frequent attacks on Azerbaijani army positions by Armenia in the past 2 weeks is somehow invisible to the EU mission. Interestingly, 2 days later, on March 26th, Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan, during a government hour in the National Assembly of Armenia, stated that Armenia, quote, should not continue the Karabakh movement. He added that the Minsk group format has indeed lost its relevance. One might assume that Pashinyan finally saw the light, but his subsequent convoluted statement about the path to peace, where Armenia will solve the prisoner issue, suggests otherwise. In other words, Pashinyan continues to insist that the leaders of the separatist movement, against whom Azerbaijan has an undeniable right and obligation to conduct investigations and legal proceedings in accordance with the Geneva Conventions, international law, and domestic legislation, are supposedly innocent victims. The issue of constitutional changes was not even addressed by the Armenian Prime Minister, who only vaguely spoke about the so-called historical Armenia, glibly dismissing Armenian aggression as pressure and information attacks from Azerbaijan. Another important nuance. On the same day, March 26th, at the Permanent Council of the OSCE in Vienna, Armenia's Deputy Foreign Minister Robert Abisogomonian emphasized that the dissolution of the OSCE Minsk group should only happen after the peace treaty is concluded, and, like Mirzoyan, accused Azerbaijan of preparing for military escalation. Well, let's say this strategy is not the best. It's all too blatant and predictable. What's surprising is that Armenia has not yet learned the lessons it has already received. At the very least, the main one, that such games will not work with Azerbaijan. We advise the Armenian leadership to remember recent history and how such attempts ended badly for them. We urge Armenia to realize that there are no other options for Yerevan other than to follow through with the peace agenda on Azerbaijan's terms.